Welcome back to Pursuit of Passion. I'm Chef Jamie Bordonaro, and I'm here to share with you at home recipes, tips, and techniques to give you the tools to cook memorable meals for you and your loved ones. Today's episode is Soliloquy on salads. I know what you're thinking. Salad, it's the part of the menu that a lot of people tend to skip over, but I want to show you why salad can be a mainstay. So, the Soliloquy on salads is a little something that comes from my cookbook, Pursuit of Passion. And if I may, I'll just go ahead and read our soliloquy on salads really quick. Guests deserve to enjoy the experience of each dish that comprises the sensational journey of a restaurant meal. My philosophy of what a salad should be involves a great deal of texture, flavorful contrast, and the intricate treatment of every component. The greens used, if any are chosen, should be diligently selected to complement or contrast the overall flavor profile of the salad as a whole. The classical saying that the sum of the parts make up the whole is a perfect way to look at a proper salad, as every component should serve a distinct purpose in relation to all other ingredients, as well as the overall profile of the salad. That being said, for today, we are featuring a beautiful kale salad with a blood orange vinaigrette, some fresh burrata cheese, a little fresh honeycomb as well, and then, of course, for texture and flavor, toasted pistachios. Let's cook. Kale, of course, extremely healthy, and a fantastic textural ingredient as well. It's got that vivid crunch that holds up to any type of dressing, whether it's typical vinaigrette or creamy dressing. And the flavor is fantastic. We'll start out at a 350-degree oven. Take our pistachios in an oven-safe pan, season with a little bit of kosher salt, and we'll roast those for about 6 minutes. With the kale, as you can see, I've removed it from its tough stem. Here's an example of what it looks like. Just simply peel back the more woody, thick, fibrous stems that would cause a displeasant flossing feature that we do not want in our salads. Then the kale has been submerged in water, a very deep bath of water, and mixed thoroughly. The abrasion with the mixing of your hands with the water will help to lift away any sand or dirt that remains in the kale. Then we put it in a salad spinner, dried it out really nicely, and laid it on some tea towels. I'm actually going to leave it in little clusters like this, maybe break up a few parts so that they can be easily eaten. Sometimes you'll see a lot of cases where the kale gets chiffonaded really small due to it having a really pronounced texture. But with the vinaigrette we're going to apply to it, I think the kale will stand up nicely without becoming overwhelmingly tough on the palate. For our blood orange vinaigrette, we have fresh blood orange juice, local honey from Hilltop Apiaries, extra virgin olive oil, and champagne vinegar. And I use champagne vinegar because it has great flavor, but it also adds a level of acidity that citrus juices tend to lack. And I really want to have a nice acidic bite to this velvety, creamy vinaigrette. that will help to cut through the richness and counterbalance the kale. So we'll take a mixing bowl, and it's quite simple. Usually the amount of vinegar ingredients versus your oil, it's 2 parts oil to 1 part of your liquid ingredients. So we have about 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. So let's say we'll go in with a quarter of a cup, each of our liquid ingredients. Maybe a splash more of the blood orange juice. I'll have the formal recipe for you on pursuitofpassion.net. Let's go ahead and take our honey. The honey, of course, for sweetness, to kind of mellow out the acidity with the vinegar and the blood orange juice. I'd say about a good, generous tablespoon will not only add to the sweetness and balance the acidity, but also add to the lusciousness of the texture of the finished vinaigrette. One tablespoon of kosher salt that will help open up the palate once the dressing hits your tongue and allow you to truly experience all the nuances of the vinaigrette. Whisk together to thoroughly incorporate the honey and dissolve the salt. And then we'll just stream in our oil. I'm choosing a standard vinaigrette here rather than blending it and emulsifying it. I think that allows the acidity to shine through the woody the woody kale, and makes for a perfect preparation in this case. So I'm just drizzling in really slowly the olive oil while whisking to create a temporary emulsion. I say temporary because I'm not using any real thickening agents for it, but it'll still nicely dress our kale. And once we have about a 2-to-1 ratio, we can set our oil aside. And we'll go ahead and give our vinaigrette a taste. And when tasting a vinaigrette for a salad, you want to keep in mind that it will be paired with the salad itself, with the lettuce. So we want it to be a bit sharp at first, which will be mellowed out and nicely complemented by the lettuce or whatever other ingredients are in your salad. The acidity in it is lovely to bring out the flavor of that blood orange and the honey. Just going to add a tiny bit more salt, and we have a beautiful vinaigrette to dress our salad. And it's also important to think about the other ingredients in your salad as well. For instance, we're using this beautiful buffalo mozzarella from Italy, which contains inside a really rich, creamy, cheesy filling that is succulent and moist. But don't forget that when pairing it with the vinaigrette, we're going to need that vinaigrette's acidity and strength to cut through that richness. So it all complements each other, as I said before. For presentation purposes, I like to just score the mozzarella to kind of expose that beautiful interior and spread it out a little bit. And you can see that creamy center that's encapsulated from the exterior of the cheese. Really wonderful and delicious. We'll hit it with a little bit of kosher salt to awaken the palate. And then once we plate it up, we'll also drizzle on a little extra virgin olive oil to accent it. I have fresh honeycomb here, which delivers a beautiful sweetness, but also has a really cool, unique texture that will add to the overall experience of the dish. We'll combine those when we're ready to plate up our salad. And we can't possibly do a blood orange vinaigrette and a blood orange themed salad without fresh blood oranges. They're really delicious. They offer the same level, relatively the same level of acidity as an orange. I think they're a little more vibrant and aromatic and really delicious, and of course aesthetically beautiful as well. So what we're going to do is create segments by going in between the membranes of the fruit of the blood orange, and I'll show you how we get that started. First, we top and tail our blood orange, and we're going down so that we can expose the interior of the blood orange without wasting too much of the beautiful fruit. And of course, this gives us a nice flat surface from which to start removing the contours of the skin. Remember, safety first. Now, the important thing when removing the skin of your citrus fruits is to really take note of the design of the fruit, the natural design. It actually will clue you in as to how to take care of it, how to clean it, how to fabricate it. So we'll just simply get our knife in between the part where the pith begins and the fruit is exposed, and just go around the natural curvature of the fruit. I like to use a serrated knife because it easily grips onto the notoriously slippery skin. And now that we've opened up our fruit, it gives us a clear view into the next step, which is going on to continuing around. And I make sure to do this in a clockwise manner so that we can see each cut we're making fully and thoroughly. Going backwards, you'd be sort of cutting without much vision as to where the fruit was. So just simply repeat that motion, removing the skin, exposing this beautiful ruby red fruit. And cutting through the zest and the skin of the blood orange, you are hit with the beautiful fragrant aroma that's trapped within the zest and the skin and the fruit. It's really an intoxicating experience. And so your finished cleaned citrus, all of the layers removed, making sure there's no pith on the outside, which can be very bitter. Just going to repeat that process with our other two blood oranges. And of course, we can't forget about our pistachios. They are now nicely, beautifully toasted, have a beautiful fragrance to them, and will add a nice accent to our finished salad. Another important note, set timers for things that you put in the oven. I used my mental timer there, but I have a little experience behind that, so we'll call it cook's intuition. Now, of course, if there's any of the fruit left over on these rinds, you can simply squeeze it out, reserve that juice to add a little more freshness and brightness to your vinaigrette. I always try to reserve as much as possible and utilize all of these beautiful ingredients that we have at our disposal. And we'll remove this last little bit of rind that was in a tough to reach area. Make sure we got everything. And on to our last blood orange. Just repeating the process, topping and tailing, and going around the contours. The use of the kale as well as the blood orange and the generous level, the generous amount of blood orange and fruit used, as well as the pistachio, makes this salad a really phenomenal winter salad. Not to mention with the protein from the nuts, as well as the burrata cheese. It's just such a beautiful, healthy way to enjoy a really filling, but more so fulfilling salad during the winter. And now to segment our blood oranges. We'll go ahead and clear our board of anything we don't need. As I said, I'm a bit of a minimalist when it comes to my surrounding work area. I like to keep it as clean and neat as possible because a clear board is a clear mind, and I believe in a relatively stress-free way of working because cooking should be enjoyable and fun, just as enjoyable as the enjoyment that comes from those for whom you cook. So I'll take a serrated, smaller serrated knife, and traditionally you'll see a lot of people go and they'll show you to put the knife in between the segment on one side, that pithy membrane there, and then do the same on the opposite side. I'll demonstrate that method. And you do end up with a nice, beautiful segment. However, a bit of a drawback for that method is that you tend to leave a little bit of meat attached to the membrane. So I'll show you a different way that I learned throughout my years in New York and other restaurant cities. We're going to go ahead just as the other method entailed, and then once you reach the center, gently turn the knife, start to cut through that side of the membrane, and just peel it back, and it should nicely come detached from the membrane. And you can see the difference between the two methods. Here you have almost a perfectly clean membrane. On the other side we still have some of that fruit. So whichever way you're more comfortable with, I've become more comfortable with this method because I tend to use it every day on a daily basis. But if you like the two-side method and it's a little easier for you, that's totally fine too. And it's always important when you can to segment your citrus, whatever the citrus may be, an orange, lemon, lime, or blood orange in this case, over a container so that it captures any of the dripping juices, which not only keeps your board and your workstation clean, but also allows you to save those juices to amplify and enhance the dressing, and for whatever other purpose you might want. So I'm just going to go all the way around until I've removed every section of the fruit. And this will make for a delicious addition to our salad. It gives it a certain richness that will satiate you and satisfy all of your needs. And of course, once you're finished taking out all the sections of the fruit, you can give it a good squeeze and you'll see all that juice that comes out of it. Again, save every last drop. It is delicious. And since the blood oranges are relatively petite in size, I think these sections are appropriate to leave whole. I'm not going to cut them up anymore. Once we get all the juice out of our cores, we'll remove those from our workstation and give a good wipe down to our board. Set those aside for the finished salad. Get a quick wipe down. And the final ingredient that we'll be slicing up is our mint. Fresh herbs give a ton of, obviously, freshness, but vibrancy to our finished salad. And mint works really beautifully with the blood orange, with the citrus notes. And again, I'm using my Suisun Inox Japanese knife so that I cut through the mint without damaging the delicate meat of it. And I'm going to leave it in a rough chiffonade like that because I want it to be discerned on the palate, if you will, in the finished salad. So let's go ahead and start to mix our salad together. Of course, working with a glove, safety first. We'll throw our mint in there for freshness. Some kosher salt, seasoning the greens. That's an often overlooked part of the salad process, but it is crucial to open up the palate, to experience all the nuances and complexities of the finished dish. So we'll take our vinaigrette, give it a mix, because again, it's a temporary emulsion, so it's going to separate on you. And I want to be relatively generous without soaking up the kale too much. But again, it's a very woody, sturdy lettuce, so it can definitely take a good amount. And as opposed to your typical mesclun mix, if you will, more delicate greens like arugula, you can be a little bit more aggressive with your kale. It can stand up to it, and it also helps to tenderize the leaves for a delicate salad. We'll get our plate ready for the plate up. I like a shallow bowl, which allows whoever's enjoying the salad easy access to all the ingredients. A few of these blood orange segments I'm actually going to incorporate within, mix in, so that every bite gets a generous portion and experiences every component of the salad. So let's go ahead with our burrata. That'll be kind of the centerpiece of the salad. As I said, we'll use a little bit of salt and put on this gorgeous honeycomb that will add texture and sweetness. And we'll drizzle on a little bit of extra virgin olive oil as well, which is a traditional pairing for burrata cheese and a lot of other cheeses as well. So we've dressed our greens, and I'm just going to layer them all the way around, creating almost a wreath, if you will. Strict somewhat for aesthetic purposes, but also because it allows for an optimal eating experience. we'll add on a few more blood orange segments. And our pistachios we'll just sprinkle all over the top. And our beverage pairing, if you will, we got a beautiful healthy salad. So I went with some San Pellegrino water, sparkling water. The effervescence will help cut through the richness of the salad. And there you have it. Kale, blood orange salad, toasted pistachios, some fresh burrata, and honeycomb. I hope I've inspired you to try your hand in the kitchen so that you can cook memorable meals for you and your loved ones. Thank you so much for joining me. Please enjoy. Thank you to Nutmeg TV for the opportunity. And please be well on your pursuit of passion.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lim.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name's Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the clips with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.